I'm glad I'm able to get you on Sports Talk with Playeragent3, man. I was supposed to have you on a couple of months ago when I came out to Dallas, man, but some things happened, but here we are.
Yep, there it is.
So pretty much, everybody, this is a former All-Pro defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Greg Ellis. What's been going on with you, man? You staying safe with this coronavirus?
Man, I'm doing the best I can do to stay safe. I, encourage everybody out there in your listening audience to make sure they're staying safe.
Right.
Do what you can do. We'll follow the guidelines. We all can't be scared to go out there and start doing some stuff though, because they're opening up some things in some states. Just be smart, man. I think see somebody that's excessively coughing or showing symptoms that they may be sick, then obviously you don't want to go sit beside them and breathe the same air they're breathing, obviously.
Right.
Just kind of use some common sense on a lot of stuff, and I think we can get through. I know we will and can get through this thing.
Right. So, man, the first thing I want to do, man, I just want to go back, man, to because we're basically from the same area, the Triangle area in North Carolina, Raleigh, Durham. I want to go back to the Vaden Whitley days, man.
Wow. I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
I know.
Wow.
And when I first saw you, man, I was at Wake Forest Middle School, and we played you guys, man. And I always thought, I was like, this dude is a giant, man. He's gonna be a monster on the basketball court, man. Talk about those early days at Vaden Whitley. What you about those days?
Man, you know what? That was my first time playing organized sports, actually, with a team. I mean, obviously you play pickup basketball and backyard football, but actually on a organized team, that was my first time doing that, was the football team when I was in the 7th grade. And so I tell you that to tell you this, man, my football career had an amazing jump start in 8th grade basketball career, but my football career, my first year, man, we were undefeated, dude.
Wow.
We won every single game that we played. Now, I'm gonna throw this disclaimer out there. Keep in mind, it was my first year playing organized football, so I did not start. So I didn't even play a lot, but we still won all of our games. So that's a credit to good coaching, and we had a lot of good athletes on that football team. My second year playing football, we lost 2 of our games, I remember. But I shot up a lot. I grew a lot. That's when you probably, we probably seen each other in the 8th grade.
Right.
And I grew that summer, man. I mean, I got to about 6'4", maybe even 6'5" in one summer. And the basketball coach named Coach Nance came up to me in the hallway and he said, "Greg, you ever thought about playing basketball?" And at the time I said no. But you know how it was when we grew up. When the coach asked you, you like, okay, well, if you want me to play, I'll play. And that's what I did. And so, you like you're saying, I played basketball. We had an amazing basketball team. That first year playing basketball, we were undefeated. And so we had some good athletes on that team as well. Good coaching as well. So some fun years, man. But I'm glad you remembered them and you're bringing them up. That's some good times.
Yeah, man. I know when we was in high school, man. I think we scrimmaged you guys one year, and when you walked in the gym, I was like, "Damn, who is this?"
Hey, we it just wasn't me, man. I tell you what, and I tell people,
y'all had a long team, man. Y'all were long.
Yeah, dude. We were, man. It was a youth, especially in that time period where recruiting, kids went to the schools in their district back in those days. They didn't like they're doing now. They go into different schools and looking at the best athletic team. So we're blessed with a unique situation. In high school, in middle school, in high school, but especially high school, because my coaches, they were a tremendous blessing and impact in my life. But one stands out more than other, and that's Phil Spence. Phil Spence he was our high school basketball coach. Had a great football high school coach too, Coach Johnny Sasser. But Phil Spence played on the national championship team for NC State, and when they won the championship in 1974. So he was our coach. And so, man, people used to tell us and used to write up articles and say this team could beat some junior colleges at playing basketball. So Juwan Tuck goes to college to play basketball. He went to JUCO first. I don't remember which one he went to, but he ended up at Seton Hall playing behind Bobby's brother. Sean Allen got the JUCO started out there, but he ended up going to University of Wake Forest. Played alongside Tim and was the starter. He was forward beside Tim Duncan. A guy named Alvin Hunter goes on to Spartanburg College, and I think still to this day has the 3-point record, scoring the most 3-pointers in one game. The guy by the name of Alvin Hunter. Guy named Brian Wise, amazing player, was the best defensive player I've ever seen. Took more charges than anybody at our school. And I think Brian went to High Point University. And who else we had? Marcus Johnson. Marcus was younger than us.
He was younger.
Came in, we were seniors. Marcus, I think he ended up playing for Central. So, and of course me, I'll go on to play football, but basketball offers. So you're right, to have a school where you have that many kids on one team, and all of them get scholarships to go play basketball. That was really unheard of in those days.
Right. When did you know that when you were in high school, when did you know that football would be your calling?
I was talking to Coach Spence, and so, of course, Coach Spence wanted me to play basketball because that was his thing. And so he said, well, Greg, you're going to have to make a choice. What are you thinking? And I told him, I said, well, Coach, man, in basketball, you get 5 fouls, man. You got to sit out the rest of the game. In football, you don't have to worry about that. You can hit people hard as you want to. And it's recommended for you to hit people hard as you want to. So he told me, he said, well, big fella, if you feel like that, you need to go ahead and play football.
Right.
But I enjoy and love both of them. But the serious thing to me was when a guy named Coach Brooks. Coach Brooks had a son, well, still has 2 sons. But one of his sons, both of them went to Millbrook.
I remember.
Bucky Brooks was one of them. Bucky and his other younger son named Kevin. Bucky played football in the NFL for a while, and he played at the University of North Carolina where I went.
Yeah.
He's older than me. But Coach Brooks told me, he said, Greg, now there are a lot of 6'6" basketball players, and you're going to need to be a guard if you're playing basketball and want to have a chance to make it to the NBA. So you're going to definitely, you're going to have to work on ball handle skills. You got to step that up, because 6'6" in high school, special schools we went to, that was, like you said, that was a giant.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, that's Michael Jordan height. So you're going to have to be the shooting guard or the point guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he told me, he said, now a 6'6" defensive end, he said, now they are at a premium in the NFL, especially one that can move and change directions the way you can. And so that kind of stood out to me as a young man. And, with the combination of both of those coaches telling me that, I just opted to go ahead and go the football route.
Right. Now, by you, I'm sure your recruiting process was crazy in high school. Going to Carolina and playing football, everybody knows that Carolina is a basketball school. What your decision to go there to play football, what did it come down to? Because you have the Alabamas, the LSUs, the SEC schools that are more known for football. Why Carolina? And Carolina is a basketball school.
Well, for me, man, the proximity was important. I didn't want to go far away to go to school. And Coach Brown and his staff did such a great job of recruiting. A lot of the guys I knew, a guy by the name of Brian Simmons come from New Bern, North Carolina, went to Carolina. He also was a first-round pick coming out. Brian Simmons and I were roommates in the East-West Shrine game coming from high school. We were roommates. And so, a lot of us guys who played in that game, man, went on to go ahead and go to Carolina. And so it was kind of a family atmosphere that won me over. And I'm glad I went there, man, because, I was blessed to be around some good coaches, as I said. But it seems like, God has always had me in good positions where we won. It was a unique situation. And going into Carolina, the unique situation was my whole class, the class I came in with in 1993, as far as football is concerned, all of us redshirted. And so we were like kids coming in, and we literally grew up together during those 3 and 4 and sometimes 5 years at the University of North Carolina. And I don't take anything away from the guys who came before us, and they brought a lot of things to Carolina. But this guy who still works in North Carolina now, he played football there. His name is Rick Steinbach. And Rick said, man, when he saw guys like Brian Simmons, Rick was a linebacker. When he saw guys like Brian Simmons that was outrunning DBs, he realized his time at Carolina was going to be very short because, we had such amazing talent across the board. And you look at that, you had 2 first rounders that came in that class. Vonnie Holiday was a year behind us, but he played with us because he didn't redshirt, so he was thrown in there with us as well. And so coming out of college, man, all 3 of us were first round picks. I mean, that's unheard of. Just defensive side. So we had an amazing talent pool, and Coach Brown and his staff did a great job of recruiting that year. So it was a good home environment, and we won football games.
Yeah, and it's obvious, man, that you had a stellar career at Carolina. You're the all-time sack leader at Carolina. How do you think, playing, the football is a little different than basketball where, kids can, they pretty much leave early. But in football, most of the guys, they'll stay all 4 years. How do you think Carolina prepared you for the next level as well as life itself?
They did a good job, man. It's a nurturing environment, but it was a tough environment. People look at Coach Brown and see how much he cares for his student athletes, but don't get it twisted. He'll get in your face. He'll make you understand what life is about and that you're prepared to be successful in life. And Coach Brown is smart enough to hire coaches that care more than just about winning. And I know that sounds like a cliche thing, but if athletes and because you're young, and if parents know that the coaches care about the well-being of their kids, they're going to encourage their kids to do the right thing. They're going to encourage their kids, hey, you go out there, you do the best you can do for that coach, because that coach cares about your success or failures in life. And so a lot of the coaches that were on Coach Brown's staff when I was there, my hat comes off to them. I thank them. Coach Donnie Thompson was my position coach. An outstanding strength and conditioning coach was Jeff Madden. We used to call him Mad Dog. But the things that they instilled in us, man, Coach Torbush was the coordinator. The things that they instilled in us, I still utilize a lot of them today. So, it's about surrounding and creating that atmosphere that's conducive for success. And Coach Brown knows how to do that.
Yeah, and now he's back at Carolina. Coming full circle, right?
And here's the thing, he was back at Carolina. Last year was his first year back. Look at the swing that they had in their program from just 1 year of having Coach Brown. Now, I'm not discrediting the coach who was there before him, but I'm just saying he understands and is very good at creating that environment that's very conducive to allow success to take place.
Right. Now, I don't know who knows this. I mean, a lot of people may know, but you actually played on the JV basketball team as a sophomore. How did that come about?
Man, I really don't know. But I think it has something to do with the fact, like you said, Carolina was and still is a basketball, haven, if you would. And so, and in those days, we had the great Hall of Fame coach, Dean Smith.
Right.
He was still there. He was still coaching. And so somehow it got out to Coach Smith that, hey, this one kid was a real good basketball player, because we out of high school, we played in the state championship at the Dean Smith Center.
Right.
Played West Charlotte. West Charlotte beat us. That was a team. I don't even wrestle. A guy named Thad Bonaparte. I don't think he went to the NBA, but one guy who did go to the NBA was Jeff McGinnis.
Jeff McGinnis, yeah, yep.
Went to the NBA off of that team,
Yeah.
and so I don't know if Coach Smith. I'm pretty sure he has some fillers out there. Every time somebody goes in there and plays in high school. But they contacted me and hey, Greg, we would like you to come out and try for the junior varsity basketball team. And I did, and I made it. I played 2 years of it. So I think it was my sophomore and my redshirt freshman year. So the year I redshirt, I didn't play. And I think my redshirt freshman year, that second year I played. And then, like you said, my sophomore year I played. And Coach Smith, I remember him asking me after the season, the last year I played, he said, well, Greg, so that second year, he would pull me up and have me practice with the varsity squad. And so that was, who was there? Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson. Those guys were there at that time. And so he said, Greg, I want you to come out next year for the varsity squad. And man, I told him I would, but Coach Brown and them needed me to play and to start. And so I was coming up on that. And coming out of high school, because I played basketball and football, man, I never lift weights. So Coach Brown and them was like, okay, he got good size, he got the speed, he got all those things, but we got to get him stronger. And so, whereas a lot of guys, like we had another guy, Octavius Barnes, he played basketball.
Exactly.
So those guys got to do the basketball practice and didn't have to worry about the football stuff while it was basketball season.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Brown and them couldn't afford for me to do that because I was behind for us being strong enough to play. And like I said, I was coming up where they're like, okay, we need him to be out there now. So when I played basketball, man, I would have to lift weights, do all the running and conditioning for football in the morning. And then we would always have basketball practice in the evening. So I was basically doing 2 practices because we would do football stuff, running, agility stuff, all that stuff. Then evening time come, I would go to basketball practice. And that's a lot of running in basketball. And I was like, man, yeah, I'm not going to be able to. This is a little too much for me. Yeah. And seriously, my hamstring started to give me problems. And so, okay, let's be real here. As I would say from the country, we know which side our bread is buttered. Yes. So let's go that route.
Yeah.
And I did.
Okay, that's good stuff, man. All right, man, you got to take me back, man. 1998, man. Draft night. You get drafted by the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
First round. What was going through your head, man? Like, what was that experience like for a guy coming from East Wake High School, Wendell area, to be drafted in the first round by America's team, as they say?
As it is.
Okay.
I tell you what, man, I've been really blessed and fortunate, man. My wife, and I'm going to answer your question, kind of going this route. My wife and I have been together since high school. And so we were together during this whole process, and thank God we're still together to this day. And so the night before the draft, we got married in college, actually. Mm-hmm. And so the night before the draft, man, I tell people, you have to understand, you go from, not having a lot of money to you're instantly, you got a lot of money now. Yeah. Her nor myself really focus on that. But I tell people this, the night before the draft, the night of the draft, the night before the draft, my wife and I, man, we were celebrating, but we didn't have any money. So our celebration landed us at the Waffle House the night before the draft. And that was what we did. That was our supposedly romantic steak dinner. It took place at the Waffle House. And I still like the Waffle House to this day. But that's what we did the night before the draft, man. My father passed away when I was a freshman in college. And so, I'm not a guy to believe in reincarnation, anything like that. But, God allowed me to have a dream about my dad and that night before the draft. So wife and I go to Waffle House, we come back, go to sleep. And I had this amazing dream about my dad. And it was just him just standing there applauding and saying, good job, and just smiling. just, as if he were letting me know, son, I'm proud of you. And that was the two highlight things. But boom, all of a sudden you're on the clock and you get that telephone call, man. All of a sudden, it's Jerry Jones on the phone, and Jerry is like, how would you like to be a Dallas Cowboy? How would you like to put that star on your helmet? It's like, are you serious right now? Are you really, is this really him? Is this really Jerry? Or you're really going to draft me, man? And, to this day, and I've been retired now for about 11 years, but to this day, when I see Jerry, he always laughs at me, but I tell him thank you still to this day, man, because obviously that decision was majorly impactful in my life, in my family's life, as well. So I thank him for drafting me, him and his staff and the coaches. Chan Gailey was the head coach that drafted me, and I thank him as well too. So it's surreal, man. It's a great experience getting drafted. I remember you get drafted, and Jerry, I don't know how they do it now, but he used to send his private plane to pick you up that day when they draft you. And so he, had the plane, man. They literally roll out the red carpet, and you're getting on this private jet, and you're flying. We flew into Dallas. We get in the locker room, man. Like go to the hotel the next day, we're in the locker room, and just walking around, getting ready for the press conference. My brother was with us as well, and my brother said, "Man, that's he saw Michael Irvin walking through the locker room," and my brother was like, "What? That's Michael Irvin." And so I'm like, man, look, man, you can't be sweating Michael Irvin because I'm a Cowboy now, so you can't, hey, we got to shake their hand, we can't ask for autographs. But it was a surreal time getting drafted, man, and it was fun. It was good.
Yeah. Now you played for Coach Bill Parcells as well. What would you say that you took from Coach Parcells, and as well as some of the veteran players? Who were some of the guys that took you under their wing?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, so many of them. Some of the names you're gonna know from the stars, if you would, that were on the team. I remember Emmitt Smith telling me one time, because I would get to 7, 8 something sacks, and then you start doing that good, then they start double teaming you, and having protections to try to stop you even more from getting to the quarterback. And that was always like a roadblock for me. And Emmitt, he would always tell me, he was like, "Greg, hey man, being good, that's what it comes with." And so now you have to figure out, you just can't rely on, beating one guy. You got to figure out, okay, when they're planning their offensive meetings, number 98 is on the board, and they're trying to figure out, how do we stop him? Not just, and the other guys on our team too, but they realize, okay, this guy can rush the passer, so we got to do some extra stuff to stop him. So that kind of, it's Leon Lett, another veteran player that helped me out along the way, who's now coaching with Dallas. Chad Henney's a nose guard. Darren Woodson, Deion, man, I broke my leg my second year with the Cowboys. I mean, a bad break. One of my guys rolled up into my leg, one of my own teammates, by accident, and I broke both of the bones in my lower leg. And so I didn't realize it was broke because, the action of everything. And so I'm trying to get up, and I look down and I realize my leg is, laying in a way that it's not supposed to lay. And that's when I start to hyperventilate. And the true story, Deion Sanders, as everybody probably knows, he's a Christian. Prime. So Prime comes over, and he starts to pray for me. And man, that was when I caught my breath, because the leg was bad enough, but you see, I never had a bad football injury. I mean, you can look at my fingers, I broke some fingers, but a bad injury that kept me out, I never had one through high school nor in college. So that breaking my leg was the first major injury I had. And when it happened, dude, I thought I was going to die from hyperventilating. And seriously, he came and prayed for me. And I was able to breathe at that moment. The staff of the Cowboys did a great job nurturing me back to health. Dr. Dan Cooper, Britt, my rehab guys, so big ups and hats off to them. But just, I've been really blessed, man, to be around a lot of good people. And you mentioned Bill Parcells. Bill is a very interesting guy, as most people can tell from the outside looking in. He has a serious way about him, but Bill is a guy that, as we say, and I'm saying we, guys who grew up the hard-nosed kind of way, real recognize real. And the Bible says, "Steel, iron sharpens iron."
Right.
Bill is that kind of guy. Bill is he's a real cat. Now, when he first meets you, you're going to think he don't like you. Because he only wants to get guys around him that's going to be best for the football team.
Yeah.
Not guys that are suck-up kind of guys, but guys that's real and going to bring their lunch pail to work every day. And once he knows you're that guy, then Bill will bend over backwards for you. Now, he and I had some run-ins when he first got there, but he realized that, okay, Greg is a guy, he's real, he's not talk. He's going to back up what he says, and he's going to bring his lunch pail to work every day. He realized that about me, and I can say this without me even checking with him first. Bill will bend over backwards for me because he knows, especially during the football years, I will have done the same and have done that for him.
Right. Okay. Did you have a welcome to the NFL moment? Like, I don't know, somebody, knocked on your butt, or you sacked. I don't. Who was some top-notch quarterbacks when you were playing? Who was your first sack?
Man, I don't remember. It was a home game, I think. It may have been against the Oakland Raiders, and I was so happy to get it. I don't remember the quarterback. I don't even remember the quarterback, man. But that welcoming moment took place for me, dude. It was in training camp, man. And this guy by the name of Larry Allen. Larry is not even arguably one of the best offensive linemen to ever play the NFL. He is that guy. He's definitely one of the best. Now you could say arguably the best to ever play, but hands down one of the best offensive linemen to ever play in the NFL. And so we're going against each other, right? We're in practice, and Larry, I didn't know about Larry Allen. I've heard of the name, and but I'm like, hey, what it is we just go out and do it. And that dude hit me, man. He knocked me out the ball. And I came, and so practice is over, and I'm talking to my wife on the phone, back in the dorm rooms during training camp. And she said, "Greg, what's wrong? You seem like you down." And I was like, man, I told her, I said, I don't know if this NFL thing is gonna be for me. And she said, "What happened?" And I said, man, I got knocked off the ball today. And that has never happened to me. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, that's not supposed to happen. Now, I didn't know at the time Larry was going to end up being one of the best offensive tackles and guards who ever played. But I told my wife, I said, baby, now I just don't know if it's for me. Then she said one of the most special things that a spouse can ever say. She said, well, Greg, you can just give the money back and we can go back to North Carolina and we can just get regular jobs and just live, just do our regular thing. And I told her, I said, no. We ain't talking about giving this money back. We're going to go out here and figure this out. Yeah, we're going to go out here and figure this out. We ain't about to do that now.
Yeah.
And so the next day I go to practice and, everybody's looking at the rookie getting knocked on his butt, knocked back and all that kind of stuff. And man, so here we come. I know Larry's coming, but I guess he didn't know I was coming. And so, man, we hit each other. And the sideline just erupted. They were like, man, them dudes hit like two big bulls just then. So I gained the respect of Larry, and I gained the respect of a lot of guys on that football team. At that moment, I think they knew, okay, now Larry's way stronger than him, so he can't beat Larry. But this young guy got a lot of heart. He's not going to back down from if he can stand up to a Larry Allen, he's not going to back down from nobody. And so I think that was when guys said, okay, he is not going to be a bust in this league. He's going to be a player. He's going to have a good career and all that kind of stuff. And so, I love those guys, man. They were all good teammates. From middle school going all the way up to the NFL. I've just been really, really blessed and fortunate to be around a lot of good coaches and teammates.
Yeah, man. And you know, a lot of people that know you, you definitely had an amazing NFL career, all pro defensive end. And I definitely rooted for you, except when you played the Redskins. And when you played the Redskins, I couldn't root for you. I mean, but everybody else, then I root for you. But when you play, I can't do nothing for you.
I appreciate the times you were able to root for me.
Yeah. When did you know it was time to hang it up, man?
Bruh, you know, I again was blessed in my opinion because I got released by the Cowboys, but I still had some treads on the tires, and the Oakland Raiders picked me up, gave me a nice deal to come out there to play. And so during that year, I developed a severe shoulder problem. But, you know, you're trained to continue to keep going and fight through it the best you can. And my knee was practicing one day, and not even a hard practice. It was a day before a preseason game, I think. And I looked down, man, my knee had swelled up, and I never had that to happen before. And so I go in, and they examine it and all that kind of stuff. They take the fluid off of it, and they said, man, you never had your knees scoped or anything? I was like, no, I never had. And they were shocked because, you know, playing 11 years at that time and never had your knees scoped, that's again, for a defensive lineman or offensive lineman, that's unheard of as well. And so, and the same thing with my shoulder. And so, man, that season became really, really rough on me. Matter of fact, we played Dallas for, I think it may have been a Thanksgiving Day game. But we played Dallas, and I shouldn't have played. But, you know, you're playing your old team, so you want to go out and sock it to them. But I couldn't, man. I dressed and I played probably like the first quarter. And, I mean, they took off, I forgot how many cc's of fluid they took off my knee before I played. Literally in the locker room, dressed, and they taking fluid off my knee, and I go out there and try to play, which was stupid. They didn't force me to do it. But like I said, I wanted to, but I just wasn't able to do it. So it was at that point, you know, I started to realize, okay, your knee swelling up for no apparent reason. You didn't hurt it or anything. It just, you know, wear and tear. Your shoulder, I remember several times I would drive home to my house in California and have to go right back over there to the training facility because my shoulder would be hurting just that bad. So with all of that going on, and then Oakland released me because they wanted to restructure my contract without a bonus, without the guaranteed bonus in there. So when they did that and they asked me to come back and sign, I told them, you know, appreciate the offer, but it was just time.
Yeah, father time, man.
Man, it's undefeated.
It's undefeated. Yep. Now, all right. Fast forward to today, man, and this is something that's, you know, very interesting to me. That you have your own movie production company. Talk about that transition from playing football to having your own movie production company, and just talk about that whole production company, your vision, and you know where are you going with your company.
Yeah. Name of my company is Play Now Enterprise LLC. And so, man, I tell people, they say, well, how'd you get started in it? What made you want to do it? Several things. One is we started out taking pictures, doing school photography. So then we started doing school yearbooks and things of that sort. And I always tell people, I say, you know, if your house caught on fire, if something happened, you know, what are the things that you cannot replace? And the answer to that is the memories, the pictures that you got hanging on the wall of your family, your kids, yourself, your mothers, all that stuff, your dad. You cannot replace that. And so that's what I wanted to do, was be a part of, you know, capturing memories and sharing them with people. Another thing I wanted to be a part of was helping people. And I feel like the best way to help people is to put a positive or inspirational message before them to see. And that's what I do, you know, create content, stage plays as well. We're doing a lot of those right now. Stage plays, movies, where people can look at them and be entertained, because you have to entertain them, but also have a subliminal message in it where people will walk out better than when they went in.
Okay.
So that's my goal and what I aspire to do as well. This year we had to cancel. We had 2 dates booked, and we're lining up several other dates for our Juneteenth play. Juneteenth is a day that people celebrate as part of the freedom process, freedom from slavery here in America. That took place really here in Texas 2.5 years after the Emancipation went into play, because when the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect, the Civil War was still going on. They were still fighting. And then, so a lot of stuff didn't really happen to General Lee stepped down and surrendered. And that was when, the announcements start to go out even more and being more impactful, because the South had basically surrendered and said, okay, we had enough.
Right. Right. Any plans to take your production company or anything on the road, or doing any of the plays, doing any type of tours?
Yeah, man, we did a small tour couple 3 years ago. We took a play called Watch Night, and Watch Night is a slave time period piece that leads up to the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. And so we went to Atlanta, Georgia, Jonesboro, Georgia, actually, right outside of Atlanta. We did one show in Raleigh, North Carolina. We did one in several places in Texas. Beaumont, Texas. I think we did 2 shows in Houston, and several Fort Worth, Dallas. So we've done quite a bit of them. And we want to continue to grow that. But this year, like I said, we had to cancel because of the social distancing issue. Right. So, one door closed, you sometimes another opportunity presents itself. And so we're testing out this year. Matter of fact, I would appreciate if the listeners went and purchased a ticket for our online streaming of the play. And so we have a pre-recording of the Juneteenth play, and that will be streaming live June the 6th of this year. June the 20th. June 20th. It starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And so, if anybody wants to say we want to support old Greg Ellis, go get your ticket, man. And when it comes on, just get your phone, get your tablet, computer, or smart TV, log in and watch this entertaining play. It's a lot of messages in it. I tell people I'm not a militant person, so it's not a militant approach. It's just showing and sharing some truths about slavery. And hopefully, I tell people it's not about celebrating slavery, but we do need to remember the things our ancestors had to endure so we can have the rights that we have today. So in my opinion, we owe it to them to keep them alive mentally, spiritually alive, just, paying the proper respect, in my opinion, for what they had to endure. And all people, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever you are, you can learn a lot by learning what slaves had to endure in order for us to have gotten to where we are today. And they can get those tickets. They're only $10. It's at juneteenththeplay.com. So www.juneteenththeplay.com. And we're asking people too, and working with a group out of Fort Worth, Texas. This lady named Miss Opal Lee, who was about 93 or 94 years old, and campaigning. She's been doing it for years, campaigning for Juneteenth to actually be a national holiday. It is a holiday, a state holiday here in Texas and in several other states, 44 states to be exact, but it is not recognized as a national holiday. And so they need 100 signatures to continue to be on the path and the course for having it to be a national holiday. They have pushed and have the Texas state legislators have okayed and passed, and you can get one now, a state license plate for your car that's that has Juneteenth written on it. So they got that accomplished. and they are still pushing for it to be a national holiday. So go to our website, juneteenththeplay.com. And I go live I'm doing live segments on Facebook, so you can go to Greg Ellis and find me up there every night at 8:30 and just talking about the play and just, letting people, just basically marketing and sharing information with people, some of my personal life, and telling them why I do the kind of work that I do. So that's what I'm doing now.
That's good work, man. I appreciate your grind, man. And it's definitely a different arena from football, but it's good to see former athletes, doing other things, out in the community. I got a couple more questions, man. Then I'm gonna let you get out of here. This question, man, I want to go back to football for 1 second, get your opinion on something, and talk. I had a former Redskin on the show, rightfully so.
Wow, rightfully so. Okay, yeah, I give it to you.
Look, Darnarian McCants, man, he was a former receiver with the Redskins, and he was talking about the minority hiring, NFL in terms of management. What are your thoughts on that, and how can we get more people of color in management positions? Not just the NFL, but in professional sports overall.
Man, we just have to demand it, because it's not just going to happen because people want to do it out the kindness of their heart. You know what I mean? As much as we hate to admit that, so you have to, stand your ground and push the issue, just like the lady in Fort Worth. She's pushing the issue of trying to help Juneteenth to be a national holiday. And so if you want this to happen, you have to stand your ground. You have to keep pushing. You're going to get told no several times. You're going to get told yes, and they really are saying no. You're going to get pat on the back, but they're really stabbing you in the back. So you're going to get all those negative kind of things that are going to happen when you're trying to get something like that accomplished, because it is an arena dominated by the male Caucasian group of people. That's the reality of that situation, and even ownership. That you don't have any black owners in the NFL now. I've heard they say Miami Dolphins, Jennifer Lopez and a couple other people own bits and pieces, but I mean I don't want to say the real owners, but the majority owners, from my understanding, are still Caucasian men.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we have to demand and stand our ground and let them know that it's not about us being militant, but it is about doing what's right, because a lot of times you won't have a true understanding of the athletes unless you get some of the people who live that story of those athletes in those managing positions, if you would. Like, for example, the Carter High movie. I don't know if you ever heard of the Carter High movie?
Yeah, I have. You did something with that, right?
Yeah, I was the executive producer of the Carter High movie. And, I felt like it would have been a great thing for the NFL to get behind and push that, because when we took the Carter High movie to get it rated, rated PG, rated R, whatever it's going to be rated, the guy at the I'm forgetting the name of it. Wow, I'm in the business and I'm forgetting the name of it. National Picture Association. What is that abbreviation?
Okay.
They rank all the movies, whether it's going to be rated R. They run all that stuff. So, but anyway, the guy who did ours, he said, man, every middle school and high school kid needs to watch this movie. And he said it's the best movie I've ever seen. Now, obviously, there are movies out there who is better than the Carter High movie. I'm not proclaiming it to be the best movie ever seen, but the message behind it that it sends out, because I got behind the Carter High movie because it was a different story. it wasn't the story of poor Black kids robbing and doing the best they can do because they were poor. This was a story of some suburban kids who come from two-parent homes. If they didn't come from two-parent homes, their mom or dad or whoever they were staying with had good jobs. They were working. They were able to buy them cars, buy them the nice shoes, and get them the things that a kid would want, a high school kid would want in life. They had all that stuff, but yet still they chose to live a life that really wasn't their life. They choose to go and start robbing and doing some bad stuff. And those kids had scholarships already signed, man, that they had to relinquish, they had to give back. So instead of going to a major college like a Tennessee to go play football, that path got instantly changed from going to the University of Tennessee to going to prison. You see what I'm saying? So the messaging there is letting these young kids know, hey man, no matter how talented you are, you could be the best athlete in the world, but it takes one decision, bad decision by you. You make that bad decision, that scholarship can turn into 14 years of prison time. Exactly. And your life will never be the same again. Mm-hmm. So I love the NFL, man. They have been super duper with me and several other athletes. But if it is something that I would want them to do, and think they should do it, they don't have to do it because I want it, but I think it's the right thing to do, is allow more minorities in those managing positions, and allow guys who have creative stuff on their own and they want or need the support of the NFL. I think that's the time, and that's the next step that the NFL has to take. Now, we got to get through this COVID-19 stuff, of course, right. But that's the next step that the NFL is big enough to take, because a movie like Carter, I mean, it was professionally done. It still went to the movie theaters. But if a marketing machine like the NFL would have truly got behind it, it would have reached so many more kids. And it's too bad they didn't. So something that I would be disappointed in the NFL would be that, because they allowed me to come up to share with them about what the movie was about. But the disappointing thing was the two people that I was sharing it with, they didn't look like me. Right. And again, I'm not saying that to be racist or anything. Yeah. But and I was told by those two ladies who don't know that story that these kids come from, but yet the majority of NFL is made up of kids like this. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. So I was told by them that, well, this doesn't match the NFL brand. I'm like, well, how can it not match the brand when that's who makes up the brand? Mm-hmm. Or kids look like this, and kids who are facing these kind of decisions out here from high school, or even really all the way back to elementary school nowadays, kids who are facing that fork in the road. Do I do right or do I do wrong? Do I go hang out with my friends doing something I know that is wrong? Or do I continue to do the right things? That's what the movie was about. But I was told that it just doesn't match with the brand. And so I didn't get mad, because I'm like, you know what? You're right. From your background, from where you come from and how you grew up, it doesn't match. But from the majority of kids that make up the NFL, this is what their life is all day long. Mm-hmm. They live in areas that they have to make those tough decisions all day, every day, to do right or to do wrong. That's the kind of peer pressure that they are dealing with, and myself, where I come from, are faced with, being a young African-American male. And really, if you live in a suburban neighborhood and your parents work, you're still faced with those kind of decisions, because as a young black man, young black boy, that's what your world is. That's what it is.
Right. Hey man, I got a few more minutes, about 5 more minutes, man, and I want to this last thing. We can talk about that NFL, the lack of minorities in managerial positions. We can talk about that all day. I got a million and one questions on that, but this last thing is called Free Game, and it's a segment of my show. It's the last part of the show where all of my guests, man, or just give some free game, some advice, and it doesn't have to be about sports. It could be about life. Just give the people some type of motivation or inspiration.
Man, and when you asked me, I got a bunch of things that I can talk about, but I'm going to choose to talk about this bracelet right here. If you can see it, it has, there we go, RTP.
Yeah.
Stands for Rules, Tools, and Preparation. It was just really, I feel like something that God just dropped in my heart and my spirit, these 3 words. And it was, I was living in a nice neighborhood after I got drafted, and I would look out the window and I would see my neighbors be at home in the middle of the day sitting by the pool. And, in my prayer time, I was like, God, what do those people do for a living? How can they, live this kind of life and be at home in the middle of the day? Because the background that I came from, you were grinding, your parents were grinding just to keep food on the table, man, and buy, a used car that hopefully wasn't going to break down on the way, them going to work and all that kind of stuff. But if that was your world and then you're thrust into this other world, you don't know how it goes. And the thing that God put in my spirit was, there's a game going on, Greg, and you don't know how to play that game. And so your challenge is to learn that game. And that's my advice for people who are listening. Man, the world is bigger than your community. I don't care what community you come from. You can come from Bel Air, where they eating off of gold spoons, or you can come from where I come from, just kind of a poor area where people got to eat with their fingers. Whatever you're coming from, the world is bigger than that. And so we all are challenged to learn that bigger game, and that bigger game is bigger than our small island that we grew up in, the community that we grew up in. So I tell people this, the R stands for rules. You have to learn the rules of that game. The T stands for tools. We all have different tools that would allow us to be successful at playing that game. And the P is the most important one, man, is applying the rules in your tools, and that is preparation. If you're not willing to put in the time and the effort to learn how to play that game, then you won't be successful at playing that game of life that we all have to learn how to play. Whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, whatever you are, you have to learn how to play that game at a national, and in most cases now, at a world level. You have to learn, and take your time before you go out there and start throwing money at a bunch of stuff. Take your time to learn as much as you can learn. The Bible says, without knowledge, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. Get that knowledge, and get the knowledge. You got computers, you can research everything. Get it before you go out there making a mistake. Let money be the last thing you throw at something. But it doesn't cost you nothing in most cases to research and to get that knowledge and wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Hey man, I appreciate it. There you have it, man. That was definitely some good stuff, man. I appreciate you taking some time out your day to hop on the show, man. Hopefully, in the near future, I can get you on the show again where we can actually sit down across from each other and chop it up about some other things, man. But again, man, I wish you nothing but the best, man, with your production company, and I'll definitely be checking you out. And I'm gonna send you a T-shirt too, man. What size you wear?
Oh, man, a 2X, double X.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, cool, man. Greg Ellis, former Dallas Cowboys, Sports Talk with Playeragent3.